OBE. Very good evening to all the participants and the speaker of this session. Today we have great privilege to have Dr. Preeti Bajaj ma'am with us. Presently, she is working as a VC at Galgodias University at Greater Noida. Today, ma'am will enlightening us upon the design of outcome-based question paper and attainment with respect to CO and PO. So, without much delay, I would like to invite ma'am. Please take over the session and enlightening us upon this. Ma'am, please.
Yes. So, good afternoon, everyone. So, in continuation to the last session, I'm sure all of you must have done this last session of defining the 6 parameters of outcome-based education. So, I would like to continue from the same. Just one. So, today we are going to see the very important part of outcome-based education, which is, design of outcome-based question paper. And after defining and after conducting this paper, based on the score which students will be getting, how we can calculate, how it can be useful for, attainment of CO and PO. So going ahead, just to revise, if you can recall this diagram, the pyramid diagram which I have referred last time. So this is, you start with mission, you have, and based on mission, then we defined PEO, then we have PO and PSO, and then we come across, course outcome, and finally we design and derive, program curriculum from the course outcomes. So this is pyramid diagram. Then always remember how the structure is. So we had program outcome. I have also shown at the end of my talk the program outcomes were there, which means which are from graduate attributes. So 12 program outcomes. Then you have some PSOs, and based on that we define performance indicator. And then from performance indicator we came across, we derived that what are the subjects required to attain that program outcome. So you have as you can see in the screen, there are course outcome like this course outcome 1, 2, 3, 4, and then finally we derive the syllabus. So if you understood these two diagrams, which are very related as well and which indicates the OBE basically, so then the Bloom's taxonomy. So Bloom's taxonomy, right from recall or remember, examine, apply, analyze, evaluate, create, and then within each one, what are the words to be written? So this I consider to be a very important while designing the question paper. Whether if it is to remember, if my question is with the Bloom's taxonomy level 1, so what are the words to be written? For examine, what are the words to be written? For apply, what are the words to be written? And then analyze, evaluate, create. It is very, very important how you ask the question. The question, you if you ask very simple and describe, write, define, that cannot be outcome based education, and that cannot be a question paper, especially for the we call it as an our the system which we are following in the University of Galgodias is for QBMS. So if I go for this is, I'm just showing you first the overall picture of how the question paper management system. So this is question bank management system, which is totally driven, OBE driven. So I'm going to show you glimpses how it works, and then exactly how we have to set the question paper. That also I'm going to cover. So QBMS, this is a tool basically by Imports. That's a company, Pune-based company. So QBMS is used as unique tool for question bank sharing with the students and generation of internal and ET and term question paper. So internal means your mid-semester, you can call it class assessment, you can call it term, continuous assessment test one, whatever name may be. So all those tests can be generated based on your CO and the end term examination, which is a final term examination, we call it, that also is possible. The every school or the department, if you are in an affiliated institute, so the institute must have the exam coordinator in the every department. So these department, and then you must be having the subject teachers. So the if there are multiple sections, then multiple sections teaching same subject can form a cluster, and one of them who is senior and who is experienced can become a course coordinator. So the course coordinator prepares the question bank and through his team, and also get approves that how whether the all questions which are in the bank are as per Bloom's taxonomy. So there has to be a reviewer who will review the question bank as well. So considering how the questions will be framed, first of all, the one subject may have 3 to 6 or 4 to 6 COs. So based on all course outcome, the questions will be framed. For every question, BTL level will be defined. So BTL, so BTL level is Bloom's taxonomy level. Now I am in course outcome 1. So now if for course outcome 1, the question which I am asking is of fundamental or foundation, or it is an advanced level. So advanced level can be with BTL level 6. It could be for apply, for create. If it is create, it will be level 6. If it is understand, apply, analyze, exam, accordingly the BTL level will be defined. So when you are writing, you are designing every question, please remember you have to map the question with CO, that which CO it is based on, BTL level, difficulty level. So what is the difficulty level? So we define like difficulty level 1, 2, 3 and so on. And then area and topic. So you can map with your lesson plan. You can, so we do map with the lesson plan. So because it is ERP driven, so we do that. And with the model answer, which will be reviewed by only internal and one external reviewer, and then shared to be shared with the students finally when at the time of examination. Now, what are the what is going to be a model answer? What points we are expecting the students to write? That also we can write along with our question so that it gets recorded somewhere. What are the expectation? What is the logic behind? What as a evaluator you are asking? You want to know what students have understood. The internal and ET papers are generated in a way 60% questions will be taken from QBMS. So the system which we are following, I'm just giving a big picture. So the teachers have entered the questions. The course coordinator will verify whether all questions are in line with the COs, BTL level, difficulty level, area and topic. And then 40% will questions will be taken from the external subject teacher, subject expert, who may be from top institutes, or maybe a senior teacher who is not teaching right now the subject. And then the question paper is generated through the software, which is being moderated by the senior professors. It is a blind moderation, and then some blank questions without knowing what 60% questions are. And by avoiding the overlapping of the questions, the 40% questions will be added from the moderator side. So total 60 plus 40 together 100%, and then the paper is generated. And then there are 2 sets which are being generated as usual practice, and anyone will be picked up. Now, so in nutshell, when I say what we do is, so we have defined PO, PSO, which are in the system. We have weightages of direct and indirect in the system. We have PO's attainment level, setting the target 50, 60, 70 as tier 1 or tier 2 institution, that is there. We have courses for course attainment also. We have course wise, we have target also. Weightages are given direct and indirect, but then right now I'm not using course and survey because that is also been removed by the authorities in the regulatory bodies and NBA as well. The percentage conversion range from normalization to 1, 2, 3. based on PO, and then weighted term average, and then ET tools. So these are some terminology which we'll be doing. If there are weak students, so when I'm designing my question paper, as I have said here, we have designed the question paper for mid-term. We have shared it with the students. When the score comes, I can find it out. The students are able to attain which CO they have not attained. We can find it out. The CO1 they have understood up to only 3 level. CO1 they have not understood up to 6th level. CO2 or CO3 they have understood up to 6th level or 4th level. So everything is possible when we have defined in this grid, and then the question is being given to every student. So in a class, if there are 100 students, 100 combinations I'll be getting, who is weak in which CO, which topic, what he could not attain. And that's very interesting data. Some of the reports I'm going to share as well. So now the software has all vision, then you have mission, PO, you define PSO, COs as well, and then direct versus indirect, and then you do all the setting. What is the percentage you will consider as in level 1, level 2, level 3, and so on. What is the threshold of the students and so on. And these are the roles, user roles. As you can see on the screen, so controller of examination is the overall owner of the process. Then we have dean of every school or the department, you may call it, for the affiliated institutes. Then question paper coordinator, assisting dean to assign the rules, and then author of each course, like one who designs the question. There could be multiple author, there could be a single author. There will be a course coordinator who will review. So there is a course coordinator, so who will review the question paper. And then finally we will upload mapping and everything is done. And then moderator will add 40% questions. And then finally we will be getting question paper printer, get printed for the final authority to print the paper. The advantages, many, and how the structure is. So this is the school or the department. This is a school or the department. There are multiple programs in the school also, UG level, PG level, or multiple undergrad level as well. For each program, you may have multiple courses. For each course, there will be a question bank which will be designed. For every course, there will be either mid-term and end term as well. Mid-term may be multiple, MP1, 2, 3, and so on. And everything is through QBMS. And finally, the scores are there. And finally, I can check and have a big picture about which course outcomes are attained, and through continuous assessment. And the weightages are decided, everything. So now we can go through the case study as well, but I'm just, these are various reports. Some example, like Bachelor of Technology for BTech Computer Science, suppose the paper is for graphics and gaming. So what I said, accordingly, how we design this paper is, so what is a multimedia file? Is it the same or the regular? Must be assessed at a specific rate. So question is being given. It is on unit 1. CO mapping is CO1. BTL level, so Bloom's taxonomy level 1. And then what is the area, and then what is the topic. Second, in which type of streaming multimedia file is delivered to the client but not shared? So the second question. And all these questions are linked to the CO and then BTL level as well. If you can see, BTL level 1, BTL, and then in future we have gone up to BTL level 2, 3 also. This is BTL level 2. So storage subsystem and network subsystem. Is it a part of OS device? Is it not a part of OS device? So you can see the CO2, it is mapped with CO2 and then level 2 as well. You will find level 3 and 6 as well. So here there is a level 3, level 4. Describe the various layers of the multimedia framework architecture. So, and then the reports are something of this kind, wherein question type coverage. So 100% all COs are covered. Thereafter BTL level coverage. So knowledge level 1, knowledge level 2, how many students? Knowledge level 3, 4, and 5, so on. CO average. And then marks average, how the students have gotten how many marks, and then again this. So these are the various reports which comes out of our software for every subject and every section. For example, this is one of the report I have taken and put into the table so that it is readable. Question number 1, Unit 1, Bloom's taxonomy level is 1, remember or recall, and then marks, 5 marks were there. The class average is 3.42. The target, 60%, suppose you have kept the target, which is 3. Now, 92.3% students have appeared this question. They have attempted this question, but average is 3.42, which is again above target. How many students are at which level? So look at this. Now, the 0 to 40% is they are beginner, 41 to 81% they are developing, and then 81 to 100% it is proficient. So together CO1, there were 3 questions. Together 38.46 were at the beginner, 30.77 were at the developing, and 30.77 were at the proficient level. That's for the complete CO. And total attainment, those who attained target above 60% were only 46%. So students have appeared the question. It's not students have not appeared. Students have attempted this question. They have done something. But those who have scored above 60% were only 46%. So this is how the analysis comes. And this is very, very important for outcome-based education. So it is not that every student has attempted, so you are going to give the marks. It is not that the class average is, if you can see, the average is 3.42 over here. Here it is 4.08. It is 6.44 out of 10. And then target was 336. But how many students are above target is very less. Same is for CO2. Various levels were given, 1, 3, and 2, and CO3. So one is course attainment and then course outcome attainment. But other part is you need to see the proficiency of the students at Bloom's taxonomy level. Is it only they have done rectification so they can write, recall? That's it. But then, are they able to apply? Are they able to analyze? Are they able to create? That is also important. So those things are may not be for NBA, but you must know that is what is outcome-based education. It is very, very important. Some midterm examination chart, and you will come to know how many students have gotten what marks. So areas of weaknesses, as I say, this student, Preetham Nandan. So for out of 4 subjects, this machining process he has gotten. So please ignore this spelling mistake. But then this student has gotten 20% only into this particular subject. It means he is weak into that subject, or he must not have understood, he must not have studied, whatever. Every student's report is available. From that you can make it out, like where you need to provide the feedback. It means the more inputs, and it could be student based, it could be a particular segment or cluster based, it could be a class based. Again, some report which shows what was your, this orange or yellow dot indicates 60% was target, suppose given threshold value. So CO1 is lagging 46%, CO2 has been made, and CO3 is still lagging. So, and then what are the areas where student could not perform? We can get in from the previous reports, and then you can explain that topic again. You can have small quizzes to support that, and then finally ensure that all COs are met. All these are reports. So probably I will skip this part because these are again reports, and I'll go for actual CO and PO attainment, but I wanted you all to understand this as well. That there are softwares and you don't have to do the manual work. It is all automatically. You can see how the students' learning level, and that is more important in while question bank framing, because if you are framing question paper based on BTL level, then you must know the learning level of the students, and that's the outcome-based education. Now, based on if all COs are done, automatically since CO PO are matched, and then PO program articulation matrix is fed in the system, so this software gives me PO attainment level as well. So in short, I have just given a big picture about CO PO attainment, but let me go in detail how without this software also we can do. So the question paper framing would remain same. Your Bloom's taxonomy level has to be framed for linked with for every CO when you are framing a question. I would go for how we can check the attainment level if I don't have any software. So course outcome again. Look at this picture. What I've done is for course outcome, there could be multiple assessment tools. Some may be direct, some may be indirect. Now, direct tools are going to be, we need to prefer those. And it is again debatable. Few things could be indirect also, and you may treat it as indirect. But generally, I have not used in this method right now, the presentation which I am showing, indirect method, but I have written if indirect has to be done, how it has to be done. So now assessment tool, direct tools could be any. The CAE indicates the class assessment examination. So you have one examination or two or three or average of three could be there, average of two, or midterm examination you may call is MTE. So MTE 1, 2. So there are, this is class assessment examination. You may have some internal component, internal assessment component like quizzes, some gate question paper, posters, activity based learning, certain activity, and you must have given some marks in your internal component. So these two as an internal component. Some assessment of students can be done through assessment agencies like MCAT, CoCube, Mentor Buddy. Many such agencies are there who test the students, and some assessment score would come. There could be industry internships through which the student will be judged. There may be end term examination, end semester examination, end term examination, anything. There must be some hackathon, or and nowadays quite often there is a challenge which is given and 3 subjects or 2 subjects are linked with that, and then you can see the student because he's directly applying the concepts of particular subject into hackathon, so which is an industrial problem or the live problem. So hackathon also can give you a direct assessment of the student. So these are multiple ways I have written, but not limited to. You may come out with your unique way. Assessment tool, another one is indirect, which is generally a survey, student survey, asking whether he is able to understand, he is able to apply, but then it is indirect. So everybody can blame and then claim, and then we may not be in a position to come out with the exact result. So that is what you have: internal assessment test through class test, through teachers assessment, through internal practical. Then external, you also have term examination and practical examination. So these are the components for which one course is being evaluated, for example. Now, so target has to be set. Now, how the target has to be set? Please see this carefully, because this will indicate everything. Now, here, for example, my pattern has class assessment examination. So now in this class assessment examination, I have 3 tests. Class assessment examination 1, 2, and 3, because this is presentation based on my earlier study. So I used to have a pattern wherein class assessment examination is having 3 tests, 1, 2, and 3. Now in each test, suppose we should go for 3 years or at least 2 years average. So suppose 2016-17, the class assessment average in a class, suppose there were 70 students, 70's average was 10 out of 20. In 2017, for the same course, the class average was 11 and out of 20. So average of previous 2 years, if I take 10 and 11, it will be 10.5, which is almost equals to 11. And so my target can be now CAE 2. For second CAE, the target was again, the class average was 11 and 10. So it becomes again 10.5 or 11. You go for 10 or 11, makes no difference. Then CAE 3, the class average was 9 somehow, and then for 17-18 it was 13. So it is 11, suppose. Now average of these 3 tests would give me a target as 11. Again, I am repeating, I am having 3 tests. Suppose you may have 2 tests. So average of these 2 will be your target. Then teacher's assessment parameter, or few people you call it as an internal component or internal assessment. Now TAE 1, this assessment may be quiz. The TAE 2 may be some poster making competition. TAE 3 may be some movie making competition. TAE 4 may be attendance and so on. So you may have some internal component along with your class test. Now all these components were 7 components out of 4, and out of which the average was 4, 4, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4. And here 17, 18, the average was different. Now the rule was the weightage is 20% for CAE and IA component or TAE was 20%. So 4 5s, the best of 5 TAE we used to consider. And best of 5 if I consider, it used to be, it is full out of full, 20 marks. If the subject has practical, so in that case, 22 was the class average out of 25, here also 22. So then average for previous 2 years is 22, target could be 21 or 22. Practical external, 19 out of 25 was the average for first year, and second year it was 20, the target was set as in 20. End term examination was out of 60. End term examination was out of 60, wherein out of 60, the average was 17 and here it was 23. And then the average is considered, average for 2 years is 20. Defined target is 20, same as. Now if you can sum these all, it goes 11 plus 20 plus 21, 20, 20. It goes to 92. So sum of all the parameters for target is 92. 92 out of how much? This is 20, this is 20, 40, this is 20, 60, 60 plus this is out of 20, 60 plus 20 is 80, 80, then, it is 60 plus 20, 80, 80 and then this is 25, 25, so 80 plus 50 is 130 and the ESC is out of 60. So I have just forgotten, we take average of 3 tests. This is only out of 20. So this is 20, this is 20, 40, 40 plus 60, this is 40 plus 20 is 25, 40 plus 25 and this is again 25, 40 plus 50 is 90 and end term examination is out of 60. So total is 150. 92 out of 150. So in a level of 3, how much? So my target comes out to be 1.60, 1.62. Again, I am repeating, I have internal pattern as CAE 1. CAE 1 gives me so CAE 1 gives me 3 unit test, which 3 unit test I have just seen their average for 16, 17, 17, 18. I have taken out the average for every test and finally average of 3 tests gives me 11 as a target. TAE, I have seen, I have 7 components, best of 5 I will consider out of 20 and then all were full because those were small quizzes, so I have taken 20 as a target. Practical internal, the target comes out to be 22 out of 25. Practical external, target comes to be 20 out of 25. ESC is out of 60 and target comes out to be 20 only. The total target goes to 92 out of 150. So level comes to be 1.62. Now going forward, this is what is repeated. TAE, CAE, ESC, internal, external is for current and previous 2 years are considered. Average of TAE, CAE, ESC is taken out. Level of attainment is set for last 2 academic year. If the target set, like this is a target, if this 11 target, so if the target is, if the percentage attainment is above 50, then level is 1. If 50% students have attained the target, then the level is 1. If percentage attainment is, so 60% students have attained the target, it is level 2 and above 70% level 3. Number of students who are above the set target is considered to be attainment. Level of attainment is calculated by the ratio of number, which I have done right now. Now please look at how the course outcome is to be calculated. First column, course outcome. For a subject, I have 6 COs. I have, as we have seen in the previous scheme, we have CAE 1. We have teacher's assessment, some parameter for link to the course outcome 1 and then practical. If you can see, I have said here 3 tests: CAE1 of 20 marks, CAE2 of 20 marks, CAE3 of 20 marks. Now, what I have done is CAE1 has 2 questions. One was mapped to CO1 with 10 marks, and other one was marked to with again CO2 with 10 marks. So the first test is done covering CO1. Then the second test is done again with 2 questions. CA2 had 2 questions, one for CO3 and other one for CO4. And then CA3 was based on again 2 questions for 10 marks CA3 and 10 marks CA3, CO6. So all 3 tests, each will cover CO1, CO2, each will cover 2 COs. And then we had uniformly 6 COs for every subject. So 6 COs for every subject. 2 of them are mapped with each CA. My institute was autonomous, so it was easy to map such thing. For probably affiliated, we need to have configuration in different manner. Now, TA1. So TA1 is if I have 7 TAE, 1 was on attendance, rest all were mapped to each CO. So TA1 was mapped to CO1, TA2 was mapped to CO2, TA3 was internal component mapped to CO3, and then 5, 6, 7. 4 was on attendance, so that is not been considered. Then practical internal, if I have 25 marks, I have covered 25 divided by 6. So almost 4.16 I have given marks for every CO. CO1 question will be on 4.16 or some experiments which are based for, CO1, then CO2 equally. Weightage tool now. Now, if you can see, what is the weightage of this CA1 in CO1? So it is 10 divided by, this has to be how the 0.5 have come up, 10, which is a CA1 component is 10 marks, and total component for CO1, 10 plus 4, 14, 14 plus 4.16 is 18.16. So 10 divided by 18.66 is 0.55. Then similarly, I have done 4 divided by 18.66 is 0.22. 4.16 divided by 18.16 is 0.23. And so on, I have calculated for all COs the weightage. Now, after weightage is done, the average was decided. These 3 columns indicates only that 3 years past record I have done, and then the target is set like this. This is the target. Total number of students in the class were 54. Number of students who attained the target, 22. What is the percentage? 22 by 54 is 41%. 41% only have attained the target. They could get in 11 and above marks. So my level is 0 because 50% and above I have given level 1. Here 100% students have attained the target. It means level 3. 96 level 3. Again 41 and so on. So I have come across these levels. Now how to calculate what is a tool wise contribution? So I have, this is a level which is attained 0 and the weightage factor is 0.55. So 0 into 0.55 is 0. 3 into 0.22 is 0.6. So CO1, if you can see, these 3 values have come up for a different component. CO2 different components, and then these values have come up. If I add these 3 for CO1, I am getting 1.3.4. CO2, CO3, CO4, CO5 and CO6. And then average of that would be overall CO attainment of that particular course. So CO1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the contribution, I'm getting value, and then that is. Now coming to the end term examination. So this was the internal evaluation, CIE, cumulative internal assessment, because multiple examinations were there. Now I come to, this is semester end examination or end term examination, you call it anything, ESE, SEE or ETE. So I have again 6 COs, So I have 6 COs. The marks contribution, the paper was for 60 marks. So I have given each CO as 10 marks. I can have an unequal distribution as well, but for simplification, I have just shown that equal marks are there. External practical is there. If external practical is not there, you need not to add this. Otherwise, external practical, I have divided that with 6 COs. So each one will have 4.2. The weightage factor will be again to be calculated 10 divided by 10 plus 4.2 means 14.2. So 0.71. 4.2 divided by 14.2, 0.29 and so on. The target was 20 marks out of 60. The number of students were 54 as we have seen in the previous slide. Number of students who scored above target 96. 96 students have scored above number of students scored above target, okay, 96. Suppose for example, percentage students above target, it is 178, 113 and so on. Level 3, of course, the tool wise component. So 3 into 0.71 is 2.12. 3 into 0.29, it is 0.88. And the total of external for CO1 will be 3.01 and so on. Now, CO attainment. So this level into weightage, that gives me CO attainment. Okay. Final CO attainment will be your internal component into, the ratio was, if you can see, the 40 marks were there for the internals. 20 for CAE, 20 for TAE. So theory paper, those were 40 marks. So now if I am calculating the CO attainment internal plus external, CIE into 0.4 plus ESC 0.6. This is for theory. If I do have practical, which is the example given, then you have to calculate how many marks are for internal. So it would go on internal marks. So 25 plus 20 plus 20, it means 65. And external marks is 60 plus 25 is 85. So what is the percentage? Based on that, you have to calculate. Out of this 150, this much. So out of 100, how much? And based on that percentage, you can calculate the CIE plus ESC multiplication factor. Overall attainment, you can calculate. Target was 1.62. It is much above that, so it is attained. This is for one course outcome. The proportional weightages could be 40, 60. You may have in your system 50, 50. That is also possible. So it is based on, then finally, indirect method is also to be conducted. So indirect method, you can give indirect method 20% weightage and 80% to direct assessment. Some few people do give 25, 75 as well, and then 30, 70. So you can go with otherwise also. Internal and external also the same. In the SAR tier 2 document, page number 13 and tier 1, page number 12, you will be getting these details as well. Now goes to, so this is about course outcome. I would like to have some quick questions on course outcome first, then I'll go for program outcome. So if we can enable the course outcome, so there is a question, ma'am, why scale of 3? So generally everybody goes for the level of, there is no fixed logic of level of 3, but then yes, uniformly, universally across the country also it is been mentioned that you can go for level 3. So 1, 2, 3 could be a normal, tool which we can adopt. Anybody else wanted to ask something about internal, external, component wise or tool wise, or if they have not understood anything, then I can take up more in detail. Okay, so there are no questions. So let me go ahead with the PO attainment. So we all know this is the 12 POs which are being defined. So program outcomes are defined. Now, suppose for particular instance, PSOs are given, POs are given for a particular program. Now, we need to understand when we are calculating the program outcome, the course articulation matrix and program articulation matrix. Now, course articulation matrix, so you have for every CO, for every course, you may have multiple COs, CO1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this indicates the course articulation matrix for a subject. And then so for example, digital system design. So you have 4 course outcome and then 12 program outcome. You can link each CO with the 1, 2, 3 ka level with PO1 to PO12. And then similarly up to 2, 3, 4. And then program articulation matrix. Program articulation matrix means is suppose you have 40 subjects in a syllabus or 30 subjects in the syllabus. For every subject, how that subject is mapped overall at the level of 1, 2, 3, with what strength it is being mapped with all 12 COs and PSO as well. So, and generally, this is a thumb rule which we do apply. If for more than 40% of classes, session, tutorial, lab hours, if the subject has tutorial also, lab also, classroom also, connect it with the strength of 3. And if 25 to 40% of classroom address is there for a particular PO, so then you may address 2 and otherwise level 1. And then level 0 also, I mean, no mapping. Direct method is you have to calculate the weighted sum, and indirect method it is by survey. It is by program exit survey, to be very precise. Now look at the example. Suppose this is a typical case for mechanical engineering. Some subjects are given: industrial engineering, conventional, unconventional, energy system, self-study, industrial internship, major projects, phase 1, operation research, automata, and many. Now look at what has been done. So these are program outcome and PSO. There were 2 PSOs. So those 2 PSOs are given. PSO 1, PSO 2. I'll be taking the pen. Yeah. Now this is PO 1, PO 2, and so on up to PO 12. And then after lifelong learning, PSO 1 and 2 they are being given. Now suppose industrial training, and it is being filled like this. Connected mapped with level 3. Unconventional energy, PO1 is mapped with 3 again, and then some are mapped with 2 as well, some are not mapped also. And then finally the sum of all these 30, 40, 50 subjects which are in your scheme, the sum is this 110. This is nothing but, so summation of level of mapping is nothing but, this is summation of course mapping level 110, which you need to divide with. This is the denominator. PO2 it is 102, PO3 it is 104, and so on. This slide will give you better picture. If you can see, so computer aided design, this is a subject mapped with maybe 4 or 5. I'm not commenting on whether this mapping is correct or not. This is just for example to explain you. Now, for this mapping, the course mapping level is 2, 3, 4, and so on. Attainment of course, by the method we have done CIE, CA 1, 2, 3, and then we have gone for complete attainment of the course. If we do so, that comes to be 2.23. Now, 2.23, PO1, this course is mapped with level 2. So 2.23 into 2, this is 4.46. PO2, it is mapped with 3. 2.23 into 3, it is 6.69. PO3 again 6.69, and so on. Whatever are not mapped, 0, and so on. Now, these are nothing but attainment of courses and into course mapping level. The formula says PO1 attainment equals to summation of attainment of course into course mapping level. It means for a particular course, there are suppose 20 subjects which are mapped with PO1. These 20 subjects, so industrial engineering is mapped with 3. Its course attainment level is suppose 2.26. So 2.26 into 3 plus unconventional energy system, its attainment level is suppose 2. 2 into 3, it is 6. Self-study, the attainment level is 1. So 1 into 3. So on I have to attainment of course into course mapping level. This is summation of all courses which are mapped to PO1 divided by course map, summation of course mapping level. Course mapping level we have calculated, summation of course level mapping is 110. So here it goes whatever I have just said. So each course unconventional energy system, so level into multiplication of attainment level and so on. Every subject I am getting this. Summation of calculation table 164.11. PO attainment equals to sum of weightage divided by sum of level of individual attainment. So this is 1.49 it goes to. 1.49 at the scale of 3. So percentage it is 49.7. That is nothing but PO attainment. For every attainment, I can calculate that. So then it is not sufficient because it is by the direct method. So direct method, whatever attainment have come up, indirect method, this is by survey, whatever attainment have come up, then formula is 80-20 you apply. I generally go for 80-20, and if you go for 80-20, that will give you final attainment in the terms of percentage. And then when you attend the PO, for every year you do this analysis, wherein you are head of the department or dean of the school, program coordinator, program chair, PO pack team, they all can sit and they can see whether there is a need for change in course delivery method, changes in the evaluation method, changes in the curriculum, changes in the course outcome, changes in the program outcome. So program outcome we cannot, but then PSO has to be changed. That can be, but this is sequentially. First, I'll go for whether there is a requirement of changing the course delivery method because it is not being attained. If that doesn't work, then next time you can do the change in evaluation method, then change in curriculum, change in course outcome because definition is wrong, so everything is going wrong. Or else last would be probably the linking is not correct, the program articulation matrix is not correct, or the PSO is not correct. So all that has to be done. So and then improvement plan has to be come up. So this is in nutshell program outcome. Probably when you can do it with the, generally when I conduct this workshop, I ask the participants to come up with their laptop and with their course outcomes and the attainment and then their complete mark sheet, so that if the students marks are there or TR is there, so we can do this exercise. If you have, you can try that, you can attempt that, and I'm sure you will be getting this is very very clear. And then in case of difficulty, I'm always available at vc@galgotiasuniversity.edu.in, and would be great to explain you anything. I can take up some questions for course outcomes and program outcome. It's a wonderful exercise. Please try it yourself, and then you will realize that it's really good. So that's it from my side for today. I tried to cover the question paper, question bank, which includes question paper framing, which includes Bloom's taxonomy level, the also the software demonstration I have given, which we have, and then COPO attainment, and it's a beautiful exercise. With this, thank you so much. Thank you, Professor Huda. Thank you, Vishal, for all the coordination. And I can take up some questions if you have. So, oh. So, Vishal, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So I tried to cover, but then if questions are there, I can take up all the questions.
Ji, ma'am. Hello.
Yes, yes, Vishal. Hello.
Few participants are writing their questions in the chat window, ma'am.
Yes, definitely. I'll connect.
Yes, ma'am.
I could not see, but
Should I say?
no. I can see. Yes. So, what can be the indirect assessment tool? Generally, survey questionnaire. So, program exit survey and course exit survey. Course exit survey nowadays we are not using because course attainment has to be directly. Indirect would affect and make it little higher side, which should not be. So we don't use course exit survey. You can stick to only program exit survey, which is generally by the senior students and the exit final year batch as well. And the survey questionnaire is very common tool. For indirect assessment, what set of stakeholders we have to? It's a program exit survey. So for program exit survey, generally final year students are to be taken, but you can do it with the senior students as well, just to test it. And the sample size is very important in all the surveys. You cannot do it with 2 or 4. So preferably, I go for 100%, but then not 100%, so at least 90%. Then yeah, that's it, Vishal.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, can CO attainment level be very high? I don't think it should not be very high, and it won't be. If you go with true marks, actual marks, your internal marks are always less. If you can see, so out of 20, I have shown you 10. So, and then you have multiple exams. If you are taking average of that, I don't think it would be very high. And if it is low, I have shown you last diagram. I'll again show this my presentation. I'll share it again. So if you can see presentation, if it is a low, you have to know the reason. What is the reason behind having low attainment? And for that, see, check the subject responsible and CO. So maybe your mapping is not correct. You have mapped program articulation matrix, right? Every course is mapped to the PO 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That may be wrong. The course delivery may not be correct. So students have not understood. If they have not understood, they have late attainment of the course outcome, and hence the program outcome will not attain. There might be change, wrong evaluation method. You have taught correctly, students have understood, but the evaluation method was not correct. That method was not suitable for that particular subject. That may be a change. Change the curriculum. Maybe that portion, whatever points are there, relevant. The changes in the course outcome. So whatever course outcome you have defined, maybe at the end, when the other 4 things are not working, so finally maybe your course outcome drafting is not correct. What you want to evaluate is not at all correct and relevant. So that, and then maybe your program specific outcome is not being properly defined. So all these things have to be done. If it is low, do the changes, do the remedial part, do teach, engage, analyze, and then finally you will be, until you get your attainment at par with target and up to that impact. That's it. Anything else, Vishal?
Yeah.
No.
Madam,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Mapping of course outcome with PO is challenging. So please discuss the PO and CO mapping with an example. Okay. So actually, CO PO mapping was not part of this. Otherwise, I would have started with the Excel sheet. I think it's not challenging, but yes, it is a dynamic. Based on your experience, you have to link CO and PO. So for me, industrial engineering, if I'm teaching, and then industrial engineering could be linked with how many POs. So I would consider that as one of the foundation subjects. So maybe I will have fundamental subjects. So I will be linking it with the PO1, PO2, PO3, PO4, all. And then in project management also. So it depends upon individual experience, that how that subject is relevant with the 12 program outcome and even PSO. So that's very dynamic. There would be person to person, school to school, there would be a difference. Then kindly throw light on lifelong learning PO12. I would say PO12 cannot be judged directly. PO12 will be judged directly, but you need to maintain some records in your school and department, which we do. So, what kind of records? Students are going and participating in the hackathons, outside competitions, co-curricular activities, to hackathons, some challenge project competitions, idea contest, innovation contest. Nowadays, most of the students do participate. What is that percentage? So they want to learn. How many students want to write down papers? So research paper, article, something they are learning. So they are lifelong learning. They want to learn something. They are appearing for GATE examination. They are appearing for the CAT examination. All those students who want to grow, who want to learn something new, that is a lifelong learning skill. So you are always a learner. So that is something which need to be observed, and it is 4 years observation, not only final year or one particular class. So 8th semester you need to observe the student, you need to develop a system to record that. That's it. So thank you so much. I think more questions I can address anytime through email and otherwise also.
Yes.
And Professor Huda, thank you so much. I enjoyed the session, bought the session. I'm sorry today I'm little tied up, so I could not give 2 hours. Otherwise,
I know that, and in fact, COPO mapping was not under the scope of your session, but nonetheless, you responded to that. And thank you so much. Thank you especially for having shared your valuable time out of so tight schedule. And as a vice chancellor, the
anything for you
is very high with the institution. So thank you so much. And the certificate is only to remind you every time for being part of this lovely program and lovely lecture. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Vishal, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving your valuable time to us.
Yeah. Bye.
Yeah. Dear participants, in fact, these topics, ma'am, you are free, you may join.
Yes, sir. I'm just trying to log out. Yeah.
Please. Dear participants, please start the curriculum design, the question paper design. These are very important because mapping will be effective and be in a position to judge attainment properly only when your design of first the curriculum, the design of your question paper is up to the mark. Otherwise, it won't be possible. And on that day, Dr. Vikasnath was talking on the design of your grading system, your assessment aspect. And then he could not get time. He wanted around 30 minutes more for talking about absolute grading, and absolute grading was left. So today I have invited him, and he is here with us. So I will request Dr. Vikasnath to please continue a lecture on absolute grading where he has left.
Good evening, Dr. Huda and Dr. Vishal Jain. Thanks for
good evening, sir.
Inviting me back. So I exceeded the time limit on that particular day. So today I think I need only 29 to 30 minutes to complete this session. Nevertheless, I believe in imparting full knowledge because partial knowledge is always dangerous. Today we will continue with the last session on assessment, and as rightly said, today we are going to cover absolute grading. Well, just to revise what we did in the last session, we ended up with relative grading, where I was talking of how two faculty members should sit together if there are multiple sections, and they should be discussing about what is the average they are talking of, and what are the benefits of grading, that by using grading you can go in for bringing standardization in different classes. And if a teacher is strict or if a teacher is lenient, grading helps us in normalizing the things. And we can then go in for appropriately grading the students, thereby minimizing any type of partiality or strictness by the teacher. So then then we also discussed about semester grade point average, that is SGPA and CGPA, how we are going to calculate those averages. And then we ended up with that particular session. So today we are going to start with absolute grading, and this is the last session which we are going to do. Not a very difficult one, but yes, we should understand what is given in the syllabus, and if the grading is given in the syllabus, how we are going to use that particular part for absolute grading. So here I go. I will use the same method that I used to deliver my session last time also. Just a minute. I have to only look for the file. We have assessment videos. Yes. Vishal, is it visible?
Yes, sir. It is visible now, sir.
Okay. So now I go in for playing it. Okay, I hope till this point of time everything was clear of how we were truncating and how we were associating the grade point by putting up the score as m divided by x plus the number which was given in the table. Right now, what you need to understand is that university will give us the grading system in case of absolute grading, because usually the university will follow a similar type or same type of grading for different courses, except for medical courses where MCI specifies the type of evaluation to be done. For non-medical courses, you'll find that the grading will be mostly same across courses, and therefore in order to bring in standardization, the university will go in for giving the grading scheme in the syllabus, right? So it is very important for us that we go through all these first few pages of grading which is given in the curriculum of the university. Now, in case it is not there, given by the university or the institution, if it's an autonomous institution, they will put all these things in their manual, right? So there is a handbook in which everything will be explained, and that handbook is given to every faculty and every student so that they know what exactly is happening as far as assessment is concerned. Now, if you're an autonomous institution, you can make a choice of having a relative grading in your institution, or you would like to have a absolute grading. So usually what we have found is, say for example, here in our state of Delhi, IP is also using absolute grading. Our own university at Pune is also using absolute grading. So they link the grades with marks so that students know that if they are scoring a particular type of marks, what type of grade they are bound to get. So absolute grading also follows the path of mark system basically. So for a particular slab of marks, a letter grade is being given, right? And that remains fixed for the course, and you need to calculate the cumulative score, and accordingly a grade will be given for the type of marks that the student has been able to score. So we'll move ahead with this. Till this point of time, if you have any doubts, you can ask me. I hope it's clear. Okay. Now, one point which I would like to add as far as calculation of percentage is concerned, this varies from university to university or institution to institution. So we need to be careful while we go in for giving the percentage to the student. We have to make them learn how to calculate that percentage. And sometimes we have to give the illustration to the student in written format so that they are able to calculate the percentage by themselves. Or if a certificate is required from the institution side, then we go in for making the calculation of his percentage here, and we go in for issuing the certificate accordingly with the details of the calculation scheme which is given at the back of the award list. So this needs to be understood very carefully, and once the universities issue the award list, we should know how to go in for reading all these things on the grade sheet which has been given to the student. Because if this type of training is not there with the student, it should be there with the faculty so that faculty is able to explain everything whenever the student approaches him for understanding what is happening with him as far as grading is concerned. Mark system is very simple. So he comes to know that I have scored 80 out of 100, I have got 80%. But the moment you start saying you have scored O grade, so he will not be able to know whether it is 80%, 85%, or 90%. You need to tell how that grade is working, right? And how CGPA is working. Now, there are sometimes award lists which I have seen, especially the grade sheets. Our university only goes in for writing A, O, or whatever grades are there in internals and externals. They give the figure of SGPA and they give the figure of CGPA. So, by looking at the CGPA, then the student should be able to calculate the percentage, because only one figure is given or two figures are given, SGPA and CGPA, and then the student has to work out with his percentage. So it is there that some type of inputs are to be given to the student so that he or she is able to work regarding his percentage and is able to communicate the percentage to the university where percentage has been asked, if we are following a grading scheme in our institution. So we continue further. Please note this book. This is important, and you can buy this book for your library. You can note down this book. This is presently in reprint, but will be shortly available in the market. It's a practical guide to creating quality exams and talks of different methods of grading also. So I think that is it. This is what I wanted to share. So now you can go in for asking the questions that you want. This was not a difficult task as far as absolute grading is concerned. But yes, relative grading needs some expertise and some calculations on Excel sheet before you go in for finally grading. So I'm open to questions. Let me see, some chats are there coming up. Oh, it's all thank you. Yes, evening time I get these types of replies. So Huda sir, it's all up to you, and do let us know if there is any feedback coming up from the participants.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Vikas Naji, for having accepted a kind of re-request to finish the unfinished part.
Yeah.
I thought that grading and particularly assessment in general and grading particularly that too absolute grading must be known to these young teachers. So today was the time, so I have invited you. Thank you so much for having shared that with the participants.
Thanks to you, sir. Thanks once again.
Yeah, please.
That completes my session.
Yeah, please. You are at liberty. You want to exit? You may exit.
Right. I will exit. I will exit, sir.
Please.
Thanks a lot. Sure.
Thank you. So, dear participants, in fact, by now we have completed almost 90% of this 1 week, 1 month induction program. By now, there were many important components. The one component was to sensitize you how online teaching learning is taking shape and why it is becoming inevitable, and to which extent we can cope up with that requirement. And for that, Moodle and Sakai was introduced to you. Another important component of this program was to sensitize you about changing learning practices and also changing publishing practices. That also we did that in terms of writing research papers, open books, in terms of giving you understanding about citations and reference management, etc., etc. This is including research methodology. Next important was to sensitize you because in coming days, without accreditation, nothing will be possible. So to sensitize you that what are the basic parameters which will be required in any of the accreditation. And there are many accreditation agencies, but government approved for educational system in India, there are two agencies available. One is, of course, National Assessment and Accreditation Council, NAC, controlled by, in fact, the autonomous body under the ambit of University Grants Commission, UGC. And the second is the National Board of Accreditation, NBA, under the ambit of AICT, again an autonomous body. Now, these two accreditation bodies are approved by the government and are only considered at this moment by the Indian government. So, we all must be aware that what are the processes, what are the parameters, how are they going to assess us at the time of submission of SSR or SAR, depending upon the case, whether it is an NAC or it is NBA, and then during the process of visit of the institution. 6 lectures by now we have had on NBA, National Board of Accreditation processes, which includes about your outcome-based education and related components. And 3 lectures exclusively. Tomorrow's 2 lectures, and then the after tomorrow 1 lecture. 3 lectures exclusively have been kept now on NAC processes. And then after 2 lectures will be common for both. Out of the 2, 1 will be on pre-qualifiers, pre-qualifier related to NAC, pre-qualifier related to NBA. And then the last day, 29th, we have got an open house. So any question related to NAC, any question related to NBA, or otherwise any other question coming out of this 1 month program, you may discuss, you may share your experiences in that open house session. There will be a panel including me who will be understanding your concerns and will be trying to resolve, trying to answer, trying to give you some input out of our experiences. And then after we'll be going through the valedictory session that is on 29. In between, the component which according to my satisfaction level has not been done so far is a project work. And the details which you sent last Friday, I requested all of you to send the project details. The details you have sent, we had some important observation on those details, and those observations have been sent to you. So my request is that today is the time to, today is the last date, in fact, to submit those observations, and today is also Wednesday. So I think today is also the last week test which is starting today and tomorrow. So nonetheless, you first prepare for your test, give your test. Those who are appearing, those who are not appearing, they can pay attention on the feedback and suggestions of the project. But I want to get some concrete document from your side on the project, so that before scheduling presentation or anything related to assessment of the project, we should be in a position to understand that what is the status of that project, at which level you are, what are the difficulties which you are facing in this online mode, and then accordingly we can decide and move forward, because the leftover time is very less. So please send your updated status report based on the observations and the feedback given to you regarding your project, and then tomorrow we'll come back to you with more details that how the further processes with respect to project will go ahead. So thank you so much. Wish you all the best for the test of the last week, those who are appearing, and I'm sure that every participants must have scored A+, because having scored A+ is a matter of just scoring 80%. So every participant must have scored A+. If you have not scored, today and tomorrow is the option, and even after that, if you have a problem, come back to me. I will find an opportunity so that you can score A+. Right? Wish you all the best. God bless you all.